Welcome to Conversations with Healers, a podcast and video interview series that features intimate, soulful, and cozy conversations with self-healers and healers. Healer to healer, we dive into all aspects of self-healing and healing and being and becoming a healer. I am Damla. I'm a healer and the host of this podcast, and I can't wait for you to listen to this conversation. Hello everyone, this is Damla Aktekin with A Drop of Om, and I'm so excited for this episode. I have here with me Gail Lynn, who is the creator of the Harmonic Egg, which combines sound, light, color, and geometry for healing. We'll talk all about that. She's also the author of Unlocking the Ancient Secrets of Healing. Gail has worked in automotive, telecommunications, and film industries. And then, Gail, I feel like your story is one of like moving from, you've had some health challenges and relationship challenges. Like the story feels to me on very broad brush strokes, your self-healing to creating a new healing tool for people, which is actually in your case like a physical invention. Can you tell us a little bit about, first of all, so good to have you here. Can you tell us about however you want to explain to me and the listeners like how you got here? What has been the journey?
You got 6 hours. Just kidding you. I'll try to make it fast. Excuse me. Well, growing up in the Detroit area, I worked in automotive, and I always knew that wasn't really where I wanted to be. I watched my dad be miserable for 30 years working on the assembly line. And I always thought I was going to go to one of the Carolinas. That's what I thought when I was a kid. And so I, worked in automotive. I was just an overachiever. And it wasn't challenging. Everywhere they put me, I excelled and they moved me, and I excelled and they moved me, and I excelled, and they didn't have anywhere for me. So I decided to move on, and I moved to Texas, of all places, to be in the telecom industry. And because I was really good at project management and organization, it was kind of an easy transition. But we went from one male industry to the good old boys network and telecom. So it was always, me trying to prove myself. And, when you work in automotive, because there's so many men there, those are the inventors. And so I'll come back to that after a little while. Those are the inventors. Those are the creators. And so working in telecom and had to learn that whole language. Telecommunications has a whole different language. There's a thick book called Newton's Telecom Dictionary. So here I am sitting in meetings, hearing NPA, NXX, DSL, VoIP, and all these acronyms. And I was so lost. I was 27 years old going, what did I get myself into? There's no way I can do this. So always believing in myself and trying, okay, I can do this. I can do this. Became a very successful project manager there, but still not really making a difference in the world. Ended up meeting a gentleman who told me he grew up with Elvis Presley. And I thought, well, Elvis Presley, I mean, he's like Mickey Mouse, whoever met Elvis. And come to find out, he was Elvis's stepbrother. So ended up dating him and making a movie with him in Hollywood, which was his life with Elvis. I mean, this is a guy who toured with Elvis for 1,100 concerts. If you can imagine, even in 5 years traveling to 1,100 concerts with Elvis Presley. Whoa. So it's a good story. So we make this movie. So here I am again in Hollywood, lost, not knowing anything about Hollywood or how to make a movie. But lo and behold, we did it. And we raised $3 million. We produced this movie. We premiered at the Cannes Film Festival. We were in France and Berlin, and we did it. We did it on DVD, never came out in the theaters. But by that time, 20 years have gone by and I thought I was going to have a nervous breakdown on set, 16-hour days and just, for all these hours and all this stress. I ended up finding out I had severe cardiovascular stress and on the verge of a heart attack at the age of 37. And this is a familiar story for a lot of healers. I hear the similar story, and so I found sound and light therapy in the shape of a rectangular box in Arizona. And within a weekend, I found that my autonomic nervous system had rebooted and the severe cardiovascular stress was balanced out. So of course I thought, man, this thing can't work. My engineering mind's going off. This isn't going to work. There's no way this can work. I laid in this box, listened to some sound. There was a rainbow colored light bulb shining down on my face. And I thought, this is a joke. It must have been because I finally took a break. Must have been, you make up all these reasons because you can't explain what possibly could have happened. So then a couple months later, my eyesight was back to 2020. My asthma, and I had worn glasses since I was 19. My asthma was gone. And I thought, the only thing I did was that silly light box. So fast forward a little bit, this is kind of boring to me, right? Let's get into some good stuff. Fast forward a little bit, I started to research, this light box. And I thought, well, what if it could be 360 degrees of healing instead of the angular box? What if we could have different colored lights and not just a rainbow colored light bulb? What if we had a reclining chair where we weren't muffling the speakers with a pad that we were lying on? What if, and I just had all these what ifs, and I started to have these dreams and visions of this large wooden egg. And so then at that point became an inventor, which I never thought that would be part of my life. And it was interesting because that's when I went back to automotive. Only men invent things, not women. So I had to remove all those obstacles and all those limiting beliefs. And then growing up in automotive and the blue collar, I had to remove all those limiting beliefs of you can't do something. You have to be an automotive worker and you have to retire and have a pension and blah, blah, blah. And then I'm Polish. So my Polish family came over on the boat and my great grandparents, and they all struggled, the story. And so I had to get over that limiting belief of what could I achieve financially. And so just the journey has been amazing. I am blessed every day. And now I can see how all the little breadcrumbs, automotive engineer, telecom, working in international business, Hollywood, documentaries, possibly in the future for Sound and Light of the Harmonic Egg. And I think, oh my gosh, I love the universe. It's been so amazing for me.
Yes. So your invention, your creation is called the Harmonic Egg. And it looks very beautiful. It has this beautiful round shape. And just like you say, it also looks very feminine. I want to understand, I'm a creator too. I work with ceramics. I work with more words and sounds and video creations, but I know how hard that creation process can be at times. And you mentioned a little bit like of some of the hurdles that you overcame. Well, what I'm wondering is, where was this information coming from for you to create something brand new? What was the role of your intuition in that, like bringing this to physicality process?
So I feel like there was a lot of intuition. There was a lot of past experiences. And I think there were a lot of past lives that came into this. I had shamans coming to my place of business telling me, you have to go get a past life reading. You have to know who you were in another lifetime. You're bringing through a device that is a chamber that you've used before in other lifetimes. So here I'm growing up in Detroit, not having that background, thinking, with my left brain and, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. So I avoided doing that for the longest time. Finally, I called Norm Shealy. He's a medical doctor. If you don't know who he is, he's a medical intuitive. His partner's Carolyn Mice. And so I called him up because I had known him. And I said, okay, I need to know the best past life reading. I have to know this information and it has to be accurate. I don't want to hear that I'm a dancer in China. I don't want to hear, that I was this or that. I need to know why I'm here now and what information do I need to bring forward from those past lives. So he said, well, the best is in California, but I'm second best. So I said, well, I'll come see you then. So here we're doing a past life regression, and I see my shoes, very Egyptian looking, what I could interpret, very Egyptian like, almost like in a pyramid or in a like a sarcophagus chamber kind of environment. And I'm saying to Norm, I'm like, am I making this up? I think I probably said it 10 times. I think he just wanted to punch me right in the face. So finally he's like, do you recognize who's there? Do you recognize, And I said, no, I don't. Thinking with my left brain. Finally, it all just clicked and I started crying. And he said, finally, we have, this, some emotion from you. And the observation that he made was that the person that created the light box was my son in a lifetime where he built my first chamber. And this was a prototype that I was to take forward. Huge responsibility. I didn't want to be the teacher. I didn't want to be, the forefront of this. I just thought I was going to just go on with my happy life and, and help people build businesses. And so then here I am now on my own, building my own business and creating a business model that's matriarchal, that's cooperative. The competitive patriarchal business model, I think, is something we need to get away from. And the greed and, we need to start being more united. We need to create this environment for people to succeed, for us all to be abundant. And so he also made an observation, Norm, that everybody that I had seen, I'd healed before. Now I've seen 13,000 people. And so I couldn't accept that. Is like, really, in previous lives, I've actually helped this many people before and more. So that came up. So that's kind of how this all started downloading. And then I started to feel into that lifetime and bring this forward. And you can feel in the egg a very Egyptian feeling, very Greek feelings. I keep bringing more information. We went to Greece last year and I felt like I brought some of the Greek energy for healing into the egg. And the egg is a self-organizing system. So it's almost like an artificial intelligence with a consciousness. And it just seems to get more and more powerful as people are going in there, as it's dropping itself on different pieces of land. In Asheville, North Carolina, we'll be going into Europe and the Netherlands this year, and it'll go into Canada. And as it absorbs from the land and it's absorbing from the clients that are in there, it just keeps getting more and more powerful. And recently it's asked for plant spirits. So it's asking for the center owners to tap into the energy to bring a plant spirit to each particular egg, which they all have their own personality.
So I want to take our listeners along this. I'm right there with you. Like I want to go into but I want to take people into the egg for someone who's never seen something like this. Maybe they're not even aware of energy healing. Most of my listeners are. But can you give us an idea of what that healing experience is like in the egg and what some of the elements that go into it are?
Mm-hmm. So I'm using sound and I'm using light. Okay. So Edgar Cayce said a long time ago, if somebody could bring the spiritual forces of sound and light together, it'd be an amazing modality for the future. It was in a writing he did called Auras. And so I feel like that part of Edgar Cayce's consciousness kind of came through as well. And then we started to feel into Tesla's consciousness, and Tesla's with the 3, 6s, and 9s. So when you go into the egg, you recline in a zero gravity chair. You have 2 speakers to the side, and you have a vibration that comes up in through the chair. You can lean back and you have sacred geometry on the top. You have sacred geometry for the platform of the chair. And it feels an immersive experience where you're in a cocoon, you're being cradled, you're being, it's infused with unconditional love. All the music pieces are specifically designed for the egg, but we have, specifically me, I look at the consciousness of the musician. You know, do they have a high heart center? Are they high vibing? Because the egg has such a high consciousness, the musicians, if they're ego based or greed based, their music sounds very flat in the egg. It just sounds like it just hits and there's nothing. When they have that high consciousness and that high vibration, that spirals around in the egg, and you sometimes feel like you're hearing the music here or in front of you or behind you, when in fact it's coming from the sides. So it just kind of it grabs you, and it's just this whom, whum, and you have this immersive experience that's getting to the cellular level. You feel like you're floating. People have visions of clearings of past lives. They experience pain where they have old injuries or even current injuries. They'll experience maybe some emotion. Many people tell me they just cry, and sometimes not even knowing why. And they'll have maybe sometimes smells. Sometimes they'll off gas a smell where their body's so full of mold or heavy metals. And so when they come out, they have a smell. And even, you know, they could smell it on themselves because it's coming out through the pores.
So my understanding is that the egg is this big structure, and then, like you said, there's a chair inside, and you go in, and you stay in it for about an hour for a session. And again, as you were saying, there are now different centers in the US and in the world opening up. But for someone coming in, I want to understand, like, do we all get the same treatment, or is there a particular music or light combinations for each person, and who decides that? How does that work? That's what I'm curious about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I cannot wait. You got to tell us too about your session, because we did the remote session for you. So people will tell us their intention, and each practitioner is trained. I have an amazing training manual that, you know, they get with their egg. So you can flip through that training manual and you'll see what imbalances happen when the root chakra is out of balance. So you could have teeth problems, you could have eye problems, you could have knee problems, anything to do with survival. So in order to bring that back into balance, you know, most likely we'll use red light. We'll use drumming music. So each chakra comes back into balance with a specific light color and a specific sound wave or sound bubble. And so each of the pieces are mostly instrumental. They're not a lot of talking or singing. So they're mostly instrumental. And we'll use the drumming, and we'll use flute, say for liver, and it'll be for gout and sciatica pain. And what happens is, you know, people will tell me liver is not flute. Well, in the egg, in that immersive experience, with the golden mean ratio, with the way we're delivering sound and light through the phi relationship, flute, every time I have people tell me, my gosh, I felt something shifting in my liver, or I felt some, you know, pain, or I felt something. And then orange light works great with the liver in the egg. So every different chakra has a different experience. And then you'll have certain healers. Sometimes we'll use the opposite color for them, because a lot of the healers just live in their throat chakra, or they're just third eye and crown chakra, as you know. And so we got to get them grounded. We got to get them, you know, pulled back into their body. So all the different light colors are specified in the training manual, what each light color does. And we're finding with like the autistic children, we're using more, you know, no red or orange light, very stimulating, different wavelength of color. So more of the greens, the purples, the blues. But with children, it's really great because we can ask them, what color do you like? And they will pick the exact colors that they need. Adults, not so much. We have so much baggage that it's hard for us to really figure out what our body needs and to listen to our body.
Yes, yes. And I know that this is not meant as a medical treatment or anything of the sort. But is there, in your experience, like having done through thousands of times, are there particular conditions of the body that respond better to certain light and sound combinations?
Yes, and everybody's different. So we're all these beautiful snowflakes and we all heal differently. So the way I describe the egg, it is a relaxation chamber. We've done some medical testing on heart rate variability to see if it balances the autonomic nervous system, which is your fight or flight and your rest and digest. And so I feel like what happens is when the nervous system is out of balance, the body doesn't know how to heal naturally. It gets in chaos. It doesn't know what to do. Going into a relaxation chamber like the egg and rebooting the nervous system brings the body back into the homeostasis, and the body then knows how to heal. So can we say that it can heal anything? No, we can't make that claim. Can we say that the body can heal from anything? You cut yourself, you're going to heal. You know you're going to heal. You break a bone, you know you're going to heal. People have regenerated organs on their own. The body is amazing, but it needs to be in the right environment. It needs to be in the right balance for it to heal itself. So people will ask me, well, so you're basically saying that the egg can heal anything? No, your body can heal anything. We just give you that reboot.
Yes. And you also talk about absorbing color and light through your energy body, just like being under the sun. It doesn't matter whether you're clothed or not. It's just we are vibrational beings, and being in that chamber, it almost reminds me of like being in your inner healing temple, being reflected in a physical form, and you go into your temple and you get in touch with your colors and your sounds. That's my understanding, at least.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you about, how do you compare, do you meditate?
I don't. I do weekly egg sessions. Like I just got back, and just tell this quick story. I felt really stressed out today. We know this is our inauguration day here in the US. This is January 20th, 2021. And so I just felt really stressed out today. You know, our world is so divided. We need to get united again. So before this interview, I said, I'm going to go see my horse. So I do egg sessions every week. I see my horse, and I feel like that's my meditation. So I went out there. She was in the pasture with a couple other horses. And I just observed the two horses came to me, her, my horse, and Apollo, another male horse. And he sniffed me and licked and chewed a little bit. She stayed right by my side. They were both just in my face. It was a beautiful experience. And then he walked off almost as if, I'm going to give you time with your mom, telling my horse. And there was another horse that kept trying to interfere. He was literally circling this horse and keeping the space for me and my horse to just bond. I put my third eye to her forehead, and she took her nose, and she was just, and I love how soft her nose is, but it was almost like, she's like, I love how soft your skin is. So she's got her nose on my skin and I'm just rubbing on her. It was such a beautiful experience. And then she smelled my feet all the way up to my waist. I had a little bit of stress in my belly. She blew out like this, like, you know, deep, like this breath, like she released it for me. And then she walked off, and I thanked her, and I thanked Apollo for holding the space for us. And that's really where I meditate, is the barn and in the egg. So that's a long answer to your, do you meditate?
No, I love that. I do. And I'll come back to that and to my experience with the egg, but I want to just open one parenthesis, which your experience with the horse reminded me of, which is that you did mention that there are children going into the egg. And what are the things that you notice with children going through this experience?
That's a great question. So everyone's different. And we have little babies that go in, and the mom can breastfeed in there. And so it's a beautiful experience. But I've noticed that they are so light, and they are so of unconditional love. So they heal like that, and animals too. And so sometimes it'll be 12 minutes or 16 minutes. And we had a lady fly in from Romania with her family 2 weeks ago. And I told her, I said, when the baby's done, just ring the doorbell. There's a doorbell in there, and I'll come get the baby, and I'll keep the baby for you while you're finishing your session. So it's so funny. It's usually 12 to 16 minutes, and then they get fussy. And I tell the parents, don't force them to go through the whole session if they're not ready. The other thing is they'll sometimes fall asleep and we can't even wake them up. They're just such in a deep space. So everyone's different, but this particular baby, she rang the doorbell and I got to carry the baby around for the rest of her session. But they sometimes will have an amazing poop. This is reported a lot, that they just have this huge poop and the diaper's full. And so I tell them, just expect that that's probably going to happen. It's like a detox. And I wonder if they're just detoxing the trauma of if they had a C-section, if they had, trauma. I guess birth is our biggest trauma we have as humans, right? We're in this like really great space and it's all nice and cozy. And then we're shot out into the world. It's gotta be terrible. So we have that. Now, younger children, sometimes they're bored. Sometimes they wish they were on their phone or their video game. But I'm surprised at the amount of 8, 9, 10, 12-year-olds that tell me that they loved it. That's amazing. And so there's a wide variety of what kids go through, but I've seen kids that were fighting with their siblings experience more love with their siblings. That's been amazing. And the parents were like, thank God they're not fighting, right? What did you do? Just put them in there. And so I think it's at a cellular level. And again, as we get older, we create more baggage and we don't know unconditional love like we did when we were just little babies, or we were, the animals know unconditional love. So they heal so fast. Does that answer your question?
It does. It does. And I want to come to my experience now, which because of the pandemic, I experienced the distance harmonic egg healing. And for me, it was pure, deep silence, very deep silence and relaxation. And it wasn't, that place I know from my own meditations as a place that I can access through, sitting or with my crystals and whatnot. But what was slightly different is even when I go there with my crystals, there are still waves and there are a few things playing themselves along, images or light or whatever. But this was very, very quiet. Perhaps that was what I needed at the time. But to me, what I got from that was, and I have been there as a person healing my energetic wounds, physical, emotional, and, the trauma. When you're in a place of trauma or physical discomfort, sometimes it's really hard to get to that deep physical silence, and where like the possibilities are endless for you, which also connects to the children, because I have taught children meditation, but our meditation would be like just 10 seconds long. or I would teach them acupressure tapping, which is another way they can keep moving but calm down their nervous system. So I can imagine how being in the egg would be another option for people moving through physical illness or energetic trauma, as well as children, to find that stillness, find that place where things can almost like reset themselves. That's the way that was my experience. I don't know, how do you have been in the egg like numerous times.
Of time.
How does your experience change and evolve each time?
So, 2 things. So let me go back to what you were saying. So we created the distance healing sessions when COVID started because people were afraid to come. People were afraid to leave their homes. People were afraid to be touched. And so we created those distance sessions and we've had great success. My engineering mind couldn't figure out how that could happen, but everything's energy. And we have one little autistic boy that I can, give a quick testimonial of. When he came into the office in person, he was just running up and down the hallways. And the owner of that center was like, I can't I can't even deal with this kid. So they started doing distance sessions, and he's had such amazing results. And he didn't talk. And then he said to his father right after a distance session, powerful egg. And the dad said, what? He said, powerful egg. And his dad was like, no, say that again. So I think 3 or 5 times he said it. And it's just really amazing to see how intention and energy can, shift. And so the parents are ecstatic. We wrote a little testimonial about that. So the distance sessions have been amazing for people who are afraid to leave their house, or they still want to have a session. And I want to ask you more questions about your session. But the question that you asked me was, how has it changed for me after doing it hundreds of times? For me, it's more of a spiritual experience. I'm getting more intuitive. I'm getting more tapped in. I'm able to see, how do I want to say, more unconditional love. I mean, really, there is no regular love, it's just unconditional love. But I'm able to see people who don't agree or don't see the things that the way I see things, and still love them. And there's no judgment, and there's no attachments to physical material things. So I feel like I'm elevating to a different spiritual plane and more connected to source. The more I do it, the more trauma I clear, and peeling back the onion. And so when that trauma is clear, I feel like I have a more, deeper connection to source.
Perfect. What's your question to me?
So didn't you experience, one of the colors that I had put you on, that I had slated for you, even though you weren't there?
At the time, I was also like, apart from doing the healing work that I do, I'm a mom, and there's the pandemic craziness. I was really so tired that like that silence was just what I needed at that time. So I don't remember any colors.
Well, you did it December 1st, and now we're in January 20th. And that's what I was worried. I was like, because when we had the email exchange and you said you had seen a color, and it was one of the colors, because I put you on 2 different colors. It was one of the colors.
That in that case, I don't remember. What color was it?
I can't remember now either. But I remember saying to you, don't forget this so we could talk about it in the interview. Because I
I'll have to go back and check. But I love that. So you did choose a few colors for me. And
I have people that say, did you put me on red light? I saw red light. And very often that's the color that was used. Or they'll say they felt the vibration, and then there's 40 minutes of music and 10 minutes of silence. And they'll tell me that when the silence came on, they felt, or they experienced that the music had changed or went into that silence. And that 10 minutes of silence is just for the integration, because people will often, like doing a chiropractic adjustment, pop, 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 get up, go back out in your car and get out in traffic and try to,
like that so much.
Yeah, no, I don't like that. I think they were taught, I think chiropractors were taught that they should lie still for 15, 20, 30 minutes, but they don't do that in most of the offices that I've been into. So I thought that 10 minutes of silence that we never have, with all the noise pollution and all the noise and our phones ringing and our, everything, the horns honking, TV going, radio on, that 10 minutes of silence to me is so magical. So that 10 minutes of silence is important.
Yeah, I love that. So I'm curious about what you are curious about. Meaning, like it seems to me that you're not only on a healing, but in an evolutionary journey, not just in your business, but personally. So what are you drawn to exploring more today, whether it relates to your own life or your the future of the egg? Yeah. What are you drawn to?
A couple of things. But the one thing is, more and more people are talking about these med beds that are coming out. And there's movies like Stargate and different movies that have been out, Contact, and there's healing chambers that were in these movies that, somebody gets shot and they go in the healing chamber and they come out and the body's healed. So I'm on this mission to figure out, what is it going to take for the body to heal instantaneously? I don't believe that it takes 8 weeks to heal a bone. I've seen A 17-year-old kid had a broken foot, and I've seen it with 3 sessions. They couldn't find the break. Our bodies are freaking amazing. There is no engineer, no inventor that could create this body on this planet. I feel like the egg is a galactic download, and it just kind of came from another planet. It's now here on Earth for us to experience. And I had this vision the other day where there's a technology out there that you can go and visit people who have passed. So I had people gift me, and this was just I have daydreams. I don't have night dreams a lot. I do, but the daydreams are strong. They gifted me the experience of spending, I'll start crying, a couple of hours with my parents who had passed. And it was almost like that movie Contact with Jodie Foster. She was there on the beach with her dad. She was able to talk to him after he passed. And that was gifted to me because of my contribution to bring the egg to the planet, to help the souls heal, to help us release karma, to help us find our path, to help us find who we are. The gift that was given to me was to have some time with my parents again. Sorry.
No, that's beautiful. That's wonderful. Yeah. So and I love that my husband, just to go on a completely different tangent, my husband and I are huge sci-fi fans, and like in every Star Trek, in every Star Wars, they do go in a healing chamber. Yeah. So
and I believe that's what the egg is. It's this healing chamber where you can really heal so much trauma. And so much of our trauma is from it causes, I should say, so much of the trauma causes the diseases, you know? And so, yeah, I lost my parents back to back in 2017 and didn't really get to say goodbye to my mom, but I could say goodbye to my dad. So I'm so sorry about that. And I feel like the egg is just this cocoon. It is just this chamber that you can go in and just be there with you, you know, experiencing who you are. Why are you here? What is your mission? What is your path? You know, and helping you to clear some karmic stuff that would maybe take lifetimes to clear. It's like that. It's almost quantum healing. So that's beautiful. But, and the other thing I'm interested in is the circadian rhythms of the body, and how I'm studying that right now, and how our sleep cycles and our, you know, we're always inside working. We don't get enough sunlight. We're not getting enough lumens. You know, when is the best time to eat? When is the best time to fast? When is the best time to exercise? When is the best time for really you know, like when you really have some hard tasks to do, like accounting or, you know, a lot of mathematical stuff, you know, when's the best time to do that? When's your brain start to calm down? And when do you start producing the melatonin and getting ready to go to sleep? So I'm studying that right now. I think that's really fascinating how our bodies work.
Sounds beautiful. And connecting with your horses and going into the egg and making sure that the egg reaches far corners of the world. Among other things.
And I still have to go grocery shop, and I still have to do laundry, which is, you know, I was like, oh, do I really have to do this stuff?
Yes. So tell me, is there anything else you want to share with the listeners? What do you think is the main healing message of the egg? What do you want to say to them?
I feel like I would like to tell people right now, you know, we're all in this together. We're all in this crazy world that we're living in right now. And we need to be more loving towards each other. We don't need to be criticizing people or judging people. We're all on our own healing journey. We're all healing, and we're all doing the best we can. You might say, well, you don't believe this, you know, so you're stupid, or you don't believe that, and I do, so you're ignorant. I mean, we don't have time for that. We have to just send them love and know that they're a soul having a soul journey. No judgment, unconditional love, no attachments, and just shine your light. to shine your heart light so bright that anything dark is going to be revealed. And I like this analogy, the Grinch. Do you remember when the Grinch was stealing everything and stealing the presents from, the people in Whoville, I think it was. And when they sent him love, his heart grew and he brought everything back and he became loving. So I just have been trying to send my light out, send love out to everybody. And hopefully the ones that are out there that are preventing us from having the best life that we can as human beings, maybe we can grow their heart. Maybe they can see that a family who works 40 hours a week should be able to afford a home in a backyard for their kids. And they should be able to go to work and not have to worry about losing their jobs and not being able to feed their family. And they should be able to have a savings account, and they should be able to take a vacation once a year. And I just don't see that happening. And when I was a kid, I was born in the 70s, so I'm 50. I remember that people had savings accounts and they went on vacations, and I just don't see that. I see people living check to check, stressed out, in more illness and disease. And I really want to see that change. And that's the picture that I'm holding for the planet, for the people.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Gail, for all that you do, for shining your light and having created this beautiful, amazing physical tool for people. And I'm going to add this link, but they can go to harmonicegg.com. You also offer a free music download for the people who visit the website, so they can experience some of that magical music that happens in the egg. And I believe distance healing sessions are also available during or hopefully after the pandemic as well. So if you don't have an egg in your physical location, you can still experience it. And hopefully you remember more than I did in your session, but it was still very, very enjoyable. So I'm very grateful for that. And it was so nice to have you, Gail. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for being the beautiful being that you are. I really have enjoyed this.